Good morning, everybody. I'm just back from Fleming and Cuthbert Funeral Home in Ballyclare because we've just conducted the funeral of Hubert Dodds. Many of you, I know, will know Hubert from the past, although you might not have seen him for some time because for the last 3 years he's been living in Ashwood Nursing Home. And Joan has recently gone to join him there in the home, although they've got separate bedrooms. And Hubert, just this last couple of weeks, has begun to be increasingly unwell. He caught pneumonia. He also sort of swallowed some food which went down the wrong way. And a couple of weeks ago, he was taken into Antrim Area Hospital. And it soon became clear that he wasn't going to pull through this time. His two children, Brian and William, were with him, and they had really kept visual there with him in the hospital for some days before he finally passed away last Wednesday, the 12th of August, about 9 o'clock in the evening, with William and Brian there with him. So we held the service today at Fleming and Cuthbert Funeral Home there in Ballyclare at 10:30 this morning. The cortege went on then to Roselawn, although you can't actually go into Roselawn at the moment, so they had to just leave the coffin with the staff there without going in to the crematorium. But we look back over Hubert's life in that short service. There was probably about 18 people there, all members of the family. And just to recap a little bit on his life now, for those of you who weren't able to be there, his parents were both farmers actually, and they came from near Ballyward. And they also worked the local post office in that area. And Hubert was born in 1930, so he was 90 years old when he died, lived a very long life, really. And as a young boy, he and his brother Charlie really had to assume responsibility very early because Hubert's father died when he was only 1 year old, so he probably never really remembered him at all. And so obviously they had to help out on the farm and in the post office and support his mum. He went to school originally at our Dacky Primary School, and then he went on to Banbridge Academy. And again, he had to apparently cycle to the station there at Ballywall and catch the train into school there. And certainly as he grew up, he would have been mixing his schoolwork with helping on the farm and at the post office as well. His mother remarried again sometime after his father had died, and he gained 3 half brothers and sisters, Ian, Mary and Arlene. So they sort of joined Hubert and his brother Charlie in the family. You probably remember Hubert as a policeman. He was a policeman for a long time, and he joined the police when he was 21, leaving home just to train in Enniskillen. His first posting was at Bellarina near Limavady. And from there he went on to Spencer Road police station in Londonderry. And there was a shop very close to the police station. Hubert one day went into that shop and met Joan, who was working in the shop. And then apparently, increasingly, he was looking just for those excuses to go into the shop. And he always used to linger there a little bit longer than he should do. And eventually him and Joan got together, started going out. Although I gather Joan's mother was a bit distraught because Hubert used to just turn up at the house on his motorbike, put Joan on the back and off they'd go. In 1956, they got married at Joan's local parish church, St James's in Donamanor. And then they moved up to Belfast when Hubert had a posting. They lived in Deer Park Road in the Ardoyne there. And then in the years that followed, Brian and then William, the 2 children, were born. The family moved up into Carnmoney then. They got a house in Carnmoney Road in 1971. Initially, they were members of St Bridget's Church, but then they later moved up to Carnmoney and have been members with us at Carnmoney ever since. And again, Hubert worked for 30 years in the police force. One story, which was very interesting, he actually made the paper with this story because there was a pregnant girl once who went into labour just outside the police station. So Hubert and his colleagues took her in, put her in a cell, and actually successfully delivered a baby girl. And again, the mother and the 9-year-old girl, as she was at the time, met up with Hubert later, just to say that all was well. So I'm sure many of you remember Hubert. He was certainly a larger-than-life character. He loved to be a practical joker. He loved the camaraderie he had, particularly with his police colleagues. He was a very practical man. He was very good with his hands at fixing things in the house. He enjoyed playing around with cars and getting cars going. He was also very musical. He played the organ, as did Joan actually. And he also loved pipe bands. He played the bass drum in the bands, and he often entered competitions with his brother Charlie. In his younger days, he was into sport in a big way. He played hockey and rugby, and he always enjoyed watching the Six Nations on the television, rugby in particular. He was very keen on. And of course, you might remember him from the bowling club, because him and Joan were both very keen bowlers involved. They played at Carnmoney, but also in other places as well. And he didn't always leave the cooking to Joan. He was often cooked himself. He was a very good cook. Although the family remember he often used to wash the saucepans up before eating the food, because he didn't want the food to become too encrusted on the dishes. But I'm sure you'll remember him really as a very affable man, somebody who never complained. He said he was a gentle giant. And again, everybody who knew him respected and loved him. He did retire from the police in his mid-50s, but got 2 other jobs after that. First of all, he worked in security for a housing cooperative. And then he went on to drive the yellow buses taking disabled children to and from school. Him and Joan moved into the bungalow in Winland Gardens in 1997, really just settled down into retired life then. And again, he really enjoyed that home. And he's been fit and healthy most of his life, but it was about 3 years ago, apparently, that his health began to deteriorate. He had a tremor and just began to develop the first signs of dementia as well. So needed to go into Ashwood Home. And again, Carol and myself used to go and visit him there and take him communion. He was very well looked after. The staff there are very good. And again, Joan could go down regularly to see him there. So we just remembered really his life in the service, and then went on to read those lovely words from John chapter 14, "In my Father's house there are many rooms," and just spoke really about the reality then of eternal life and his ongoing life with God. Carol then led our prayers for us, praying for the family, remembering Hubert as well, before the Lord's Prayer, and then a final prayer of commendation as we gave Hubert over to God. So it was just a very short half an hour service. The rain was pouring down when we came out, and the funeral cortege again went down past the home, stopped there for a few minutes before going on then to Roselawn for the cremation. So it's good to remember Hubert in that way. And our prayers do go out to Joan at this time. Please also pray for William and for Brian, the 2 sons. And just hold them all in your prayers as we remember Hubert and the way he's touched all of our lives. God bless.